Good afternoon on what is a warm, bright and blustery day. It is Thursday the 20th of April. I've got a nice hot cup of tea and I have a box to continue unboxing. So let's see what I have got here. I've already pulled out several books, so these include, let's have a look. Filling in the Blanks, a guide to populating hex crawls, the Mega Dungeon Monster Manual, and then Into the Wild, a high-level resource for OSR games, and then Darrow Deep. Okay, next. We have this, which is How to Write Adventure Modules That Don't Suck. It's from Goodman Games. Adventure Design is the class, and the year is the class of 74. So this is essentially presented as a kind of textbook that you would have in school, in 1974, and this is your first guide to writing adventures. It's promises 160 pages, 25 authors, and really nicely, cleanly. It's kind of the front of it is really nicely done. It's done as if you sort of you've been sat in school at your desk, you're bored with whatever the teacher is writing about, and you've just scrawled all this all over your book, but they've really kind of I won't say jazzed it up, but essentially they've really kind of almost blinged it up with lots of gold pen and so on, in the artwork, which you wouldn't have got back then. Anyway, over the last 15 years, Goodman Games has established a reputation for publishing some of the best adventure modules in the industry. Now we present our advice on how you can write great adventures. This compilation of articles is authored by 24 of the industry's best-known adventure writers. Each article gives a different perspective on how to write adventure modules that don't suck, written by authors with decades of experience and prominent established published credits. By the time you've done reading this book, you're on the path to designing great adventure modules on your own. Whether you're an experienced writer or an aspiring novice, you'll find something of value in this book. So, we open up, and we've got quite a vibrant piece of artwork inside the front cover. I'll show you that. I'll show you, see whether it's printed at the back. Yeah, it's the same one. It's the same one, but sometimes they're different, sometimes they're not. So, yep. So what's inside other than that? How to write adventure modules that don't suck. I think that's the squirrels chucking things down at me. A nice cartoon there, with William Shakespeare about to sit down and write his first adventure. And then here we have autographs. Attend your favourite convention to meet the authors of this work in person. Gen Con, Gary Con, North Texas RPG Convention, Gamehole Convention, other cons are great places to get advice on your own adventure designs. Find the authors and have them autograph the book here. That's a nice touch, I like that. And it's really kind of good for if you are an American prospective author and gamer, on the grounds that most of the authors in here are going to be American. And those are the conventions they're primarily going to be attending. Gen Con, Gary Con, North Texan RPG Convention, Gamehole Convention are all all tied into quite strongly the old school Renaissance. Not so much Gen Con, but Gary Con, North Texan RPG Convention, and so on. So Dungeon Crawl Classics has an important presence at those anyway. Also, it's also at Gen Con as well, and it also will be at UK Games Expo as I sit here in 2023. So you're in 2024, you'll have missed them, sorry. Anyway, so we've got listing of the authors there. That's quite an impressive list there. To Timithy Brown, Stephen Chenault, Michael Curtis, Joseph Goodman, John Hook, Brendan LaSalle, You know, Merle L. Rasmussen, Lester Smith, Harley Strode, Jim Wampler, James M. Ward, Skip Williams, Steve Winter. So fantastic. So then we've got the introduction by James M. Ward. What you hold in your hand is a very unique product. This is the codification of some of the best ideas of the world's finest RPG game designers in what they think is important in putting together an encounter. Not only are there articles a must-read for the new game designer, the example encounters they present offer the best in cutting-edge game design. This is the primer that every game designer needs to have on his bookshelf. I've been in the role-playing game industry for over 40 years. In many of these years, my products were the best-selling products out that year. I learned many new things from this set of articles, things that have improved my design skills. So I know they will improve yours as well. So, yes. So we start off with adventures in context, discussing, you know, where and how to place your adventures, and then we've got an example, Dead Man's Chest, a level 1 adventure, you know, how to design that, so on. Then players make your world go round, you know, a guide to involving your players, getting them involved. You know, and we've got a cartoon there as well. Everything was going exactly as Gerald had foreseen, and you can see the odd players arguing with each other, you know, across the table. You know, how to involve your players, encountered, and basically, then in each case, he follows that we've got an encounter, the Doom of Riego. And this is quite a lengthy one. Anne K. Brown, we have listened, do you smell something? You know, essentially, presumably that's the use of all the senses. And it's cartoon, you know, maybe you could just, next time you could just describe the smells, you know, rather than being sat there, you know, lifting your foot going, smells like this, or squeezing a skunk. You know, and so, you know, follows it up with the encounter, follow your nose. Logical first contact, inventing intelligent science fiction, aliens. This is a bit of a change. You expect this to all, this is a Goodman Games book, so you expect this all to be about fantasy. But it's not. Timithy Brown is renowned for his work with, in particular, on things like the new version of Torg, I think, second edition, and then there's the his work on 2300 AD or Travel 2300 back in the day from Game Designers Workshop. So he knows his science fiction. We have Encounter, Feeding Time. So this is a more general book than you normally think. You go, oh, this is all going to be for Dungeon Crawl Classics, but it's not. So we've got the Encounter, Feeding Time, and then we have There Are No Empty Rooms in the Wilderness. It's by Stephen Chenault. We've got Castles and Crates, Crusades Adventure. And then KTW Christofferson, Making a Villain. Villain is always important. You know, they're the one who's primarily sort of like driving the backstory and the plot, which will involve the player characters. You know, and we've got a basic quick adventure there. You know, Paul Reed Dougley, A Dinner with Death. Raison d'etre, or why everything in your adventure should have a reason for being there. Christopher Clark. You know, and then Encounter, the Overlook. It's quite short, and you've got at the end of each. You do have at the end. You do have sort of like a quick thumbnail bibliography of each designer, and then Michael Curtis, Know and Love What You Write. And that's good reason. That's good advice for any author. He offers up, you know, Denkin's Trading Post and Rarities Brokerage, which is sort of like a dungeon kind of encounter, where you could take it and drop it elsewhere. And then let's have a look, just see what. Flipping back, How to write encounters that actually encounters that don't suck rather than adventures that don't suck. That's by Chris Doyle. Let's see. Is there him? Looking through. Sorry. And then we have Encounter, the Deadly Crevasse. Published perspective on adventure monsters that don't suck. That's really useful. I think that's by Goodman. He's published, hundreds of adventure modules, because there's 103 Dungeon Crawl classics at the time of publication. Number 100 hasn't come out yet, but they're up to 103. And then you've got the other ones for, there's 10 for Mutant Crawl Classics. There's more than 10 for Dungeon Crawl Classics. Lankmar. They do the same for Dying Earth and so on. Keeping encounters within the capabilities of your players. Alan Hammack. So, and then Encounter, the Goblinoid Differential. Quite dirty encounter there, I think. So yeah, it's going to be all like this throughout. John Hook's making monsters cooler. Illustrated by these cartoons, and then Encounter, all that glitters is not gold, a mini dungeon encounter, yeah, John Hook. I know John Hook. I've edited his books for Call of Cthulhu. Then we have an adventurous story by Kevin W. Melka. And this is followed by the Encounter of the Old Layer. Unleashing Your Dungeon Creativity, Brendan LaSalle. Encounter the Chamber of 100 Axes. Something Worth Fighting For, Lloyd Metcalf. I presume that's going to be about motivations. Encounter Shock Spiders. So it is another blustery day. Building better encounters and monstrous symbiosis and environmental factors. Olmesdahl. Encounter the Swamp of Doom. Steve Peake's Atmosphere. And using horror and the environment. Dark and Deep is his encounter. The Sense of Adventure, Gene Rabb. There is a very old name, basically long involved in the hobby, and her encounter is Walter's Garden Shop. Lego building toy maps by Merle M. Rasmussen. I've always talked about with friends about sort of like using Lego as sort of like as an environment, as a means to present some kind of play environment. Relatively inexpensively. We already sort of like once talked about creating the complete layout of at Gringle's Pawn Shop from Apple Lane Scenario for RuneQuest as essentially an environment where you play essentially its defense in that scenario, but doing it on essentially as a Lego house, and he offers up Shipwrecked on Lego Island. Yes, okay, a dungeon wilderness without walls, the wilderness without beasts of burden. So yes, a bit of a pun there, a play on words. Lester Smith, all aboard for adventure. Essentially, talking different models like the train yard model, stepwise approach, villain then victims then heroes, the 3-act outline, so on.
Doesn't really give much of a mini adventure. Basically, it's got an example climatic conflict, so that's a bit short on the part of Lester Smith, but that's fine. Run Your Best Game Tonight by Harley Stroh. And his encounter with the Oracle, and that's followed by the Risk versus Reward Equation by Jim Wampler, who is best known as the designer of Mutant Core Classics, which is the spiritual successor of Gamma World. And his encounter is the Caprapod Nursery. Not the easiest thing to say without getting tongue twisted. Player Character Death by James M. Ward, who designed Metamorphosis Alpha, which is from which Gamma World will be born, and then we go down to Mutant Core Classics. Smallest Chamber of Doom, his encounter, presumably designed to kill off your player characters to a certain extent. Skip Williams' Tell a Story. Gogti's Lair is a little bit bigger affair from Skip Williams. And then How Design Setbacks That Don't Suck by Steve Winter. That's an interesting. It's essentially, essentially you get to the point in the scenario in the campaign where the players are basically, their progress is going to be stopped, and it's oh no, we've gone so far, but we're being stopped here, and not make it feel bad for them, as if their efforts have been in vain. And that's followed by Lair of the Choke Beasts. And then we've got adverts in Mutant Core Classics, and advert for Night Owl Games, who do interesting takes upon original Dungeons and Dragons as if they were designed other genres rather than Dungeons and Dragons. So that is a lovely book, How to Write Adventure Modules That Don't Suck, published by Goodman Games. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you see me out here with a box containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea. Then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing of the Nook. Be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.